At last week's World Grand Prix, three-time world champion Michael van Gerwen suffered what Sky commentator Wayne Mardles called one of the most embarrassing defeats of his career after being taken to the cleaners. At the start of this year, in the biggest event of the year, he also suffered another shocking loss to a player no one expected to be able to beat him. But both of those out-of-character losses have something in common, and it's something that explains Michael's inconsistent form over the past few years. Hello and welcome back to Darts World. Today we're going to take a look at the real reason for that, so make sure to stay tuned. Let's start by going back to the 2024 World Championship, where MVG was the pre-tournament second favourite at 7-2, just behind the eventual winner, Luke Humphries. Michael would have been hopeful that he could have become a four-time world champion and win the event for the first time in 5 years. He also would have been keen to get back to the final to make up for his 2023 loss against Michael Smith in the famous both on the 9 game. He was clearly confident ahead of his first game, as he said that he was still the player to beat, despite the great form of Cool Hand Luke, who won his first 3 majors in the run-up to the Worlds, including the Players' Championship finals, where he beat MVG in the final. But Michael seemed to back up his claims as he made a great start, beating Keen Barry 3-0 with an average of 98.17 and a high checkout of 167. He then also managed to get through his next game without dropping a set, beating fellow Dutchman Richard Veenstra 4-0 with a great average of 101.39. He then kept his great run going in the last 16, beating an informed Stephen Bunting 4-0 with an overall average of 99.8, meaning he was through to the quarters and just 3 wins away from a 4th world title. At this point, MVG had won his 3 games without dropping a set, with an overall average just shy of a ton and a brilliant tournament doubling percentage of 52.38. And it then looked like he had an easy path through to the quarters, as he had a game against world number 52 Scott Williams, who had averaged just 93.15 to that point and hit less than half of his darts at double. However, he was clearly doing something right, as he'd picked up 3 straight impressive wins over Danny Noppert, Martin Schindler and Damon Heta. But the bookies resoundingly thought that this run would come to an end, with MVG the 1.07 favourite and Williams with average odds of 8.28. When the game got underway, it was closer than many thought, with the score tied at 3-0 after the first 6 sets of the first of 5 game. But Scott then shockingly managed to win 6 of the next 8 legs to get a famous upset victory and end MVG's title tilt. Michael averaged just 93.41, a big drop off from his previous rounds, and he only managed to hit 29% of his darts at double. So, what was the reason for that huge drop off? Well, it was rumoured that Michael was struggling with stomachache, according to a Dutch journalist who contacted Van Gerwen's management, but we got no word about it from Michael himself, as the usual gracious loser skipped his post-match media, likely due to the illness. In his post-match media, Scott said that he hadn't played the Michael seen in the past few rounds, and that he could tell Michael was a little bit off in the practice room before the game. The only thing that Michael put on social media was a short tweet saying that he hadn't brought his A game and that the loss hit hard. If he was ill, then it wasn't the first time one of his Ali Pali campaigns got affected by his health, as back in the 2022 edition, he was forced to withdraw ahead of his 4th round game against Chris Dobey after testing positive for COVID. He said that he was really disappointed, confused and angry and didn't have any symptoms. A year on from that, Michael spoke out in the media saying that it was his honesty that cost him, claiming that other players lied about it to get around the regulations. But he did bounce back in the rest of that year, and in October he won the World Grand Prix for a stunning 6th time, picking up his 60th televised title in the event, at which he won his first one back in 2012. He beat Nathan Aspinall 5-3 in the final, but after the game admitted that illness nearly hampered him again, as he said that he had bad stomach cramps during the game, causing him to take an urgent toilet break and play with clenched buttocks. At the Grand Prix a year later, MVG missed the ball for doubling 9 darters twice in his 2nd round game against Chris Dobey. Despite those great legs, Michael ended up losing that game 3-2 with an 87 average. This year in the Grand Prix, he got a fairly tough first round draw against 2017 winner Daryl Gurney. It was the first ever first round meeting at the event between 2 former champions. The Dutchman had been coming into the event in good form, winning his first Eurotour title of the year at the Hungarian Darts Trophy in September. but he then withdrew from some Players' Championship events the following week with illness, and from the next Euro Tour event, the first ever Swiss Darts Trophy, due to the same reason. Despite his recent issues, Michael was the bookies' favourite against Gurney at 1.33, with Darrell behind at 3.25. But it was Gurney who managed to comfortably win the first set 3-0. Darrell then also won the second set by the same score to get a 2-0 whitewash win in which MVG didn't win a single leg. Michael had averaged just 86.94 and missed all 8 of his shots at double. The game saw Michael go a full televised game in a ranked major without winning a leg for the first time in 13 years. It was clear during the game that Michael was sweating a lot more than usual, and following the match, his close friend and Dutch TV pundit Vincent van der Voort revealed that he was still ill, which could be seen from the sweating a lot throughout the match. Vincent said there was a gamble for Michael to even go and that he wouldn't have gone if it wasn't a major. He said that the issue had been going on for 2 weeks and that Michael needs to see a doctor as soon as possible. Michael already had dental surgery early this year after losing in the World Matchplay final, which forced him to take a short break from the game before returning to the Pro Tour in August. He had an operation on the same issue in the summer of last year, forcing him to pull out of the World Cup. He also missed that same World Cup event a year earlier due to having yet more surgery, that time on carpal tunnel syndrome in his throwing arm. After returning from that surgery, Michael managed to win the very first major back at the World Matchplay. Michael also had an injury in his throwing arm during the 2023 Premier League night in Aberdeen, forcing him to withdraw mid-night ahead of his semi-final after receiving medical treatment backstage. It was revealed that he strained a muscle in his upper arm and that he'd have to have medical checks ahead of the following week, which was the Premier League finals night, a big night in the darting calendar. Michael was clear to play and bounced back brilliantly, beating Gerwen Price in the final 11-5 to claim the Premier League title for a 7th time. Last year, he also struggled with gout, which his medication initially failed to solve. If we go all the way back to 2017 too, an injury prevented Michael from defending his major UK Open title. So, as you can see, it must have been very hard for him to stay consistent over the past few years. Let me know what you think about Michael's situation in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe, as currently just 15% of my viewers are. You can also hit the bell icon if you want to get notified whenever I upload a brand new darts video, and also leave a like if you like this style of video. Thanks for watching.